Hi, thanks for tuning in. So, today we're going to jump back into Flipped. We're still on Bryce's side of the story, and we're finding out some interesting dynamics with his family. We found out that Bryce's birth was pretty traumatic. He also had the umbilical cord wrapped around his neck twice, but the doctor was on the ball and was able to save him during the birth process, so nothing bad happened. Um, he had gone for a long walk with his grandfather and learned a lot about him and really seemed to connect with him. And when they got back to the house, um, they could tell things were pretty tense between mom and dad. You can always tell when there's tension in the air. And let's see, right away, we knew we had stepped into a war zone, even though no one was yelling or crying. From the look on my parents' faces, I could tell there had been a major meltdown while my granddad and I were out. Granddad whispered to me, "I've got another fence to mend, I'm afraid," and headed into the dining room to talk to my parents. I wanted nothing to do with that vibe. I went straight to my room, closed the door, and flopped through the darkness onto my bed. I lay there a while and let the dinner disaster play through my mind. And when I had totally burned a fuse thinking about it, I sat up and looked out the window. There was a light on somewhere inside the baker's house, and the street lights were glowing, but the night still seemed really dense, like it was darker than usual and, I don't know, heavy. I leaned in closer to the window and looked up at the sky, but I couldn't see the stars anymore. I wondered if Julie had ever been in the sycamore at night among the stars. I shook my head. Flat, glossy, iridescent. What was up with that? Julie Baker had always seemed just plain dusty to me. I snapped on my desk lamp and dug the newspaper with the article about Julie out of the drawer where I had tossed it. Just like I thought, they made it sound like Julie was trying to save Mount Rushmore or something. They called her a strong voice in an urban wilderness and a radiant beacon shedding light on the need to curtail continued development of our once quaint and tranquil community. Spare me. I mean, what's wrong with letting a guy cut down a tree on his own property so he can build a house? His lot, his tree, his decision. End of story. The piece in the paper was gag me gush. Except except for the places where they quoted Julie. Maybe it was just in contrast to the reporter's slant or something, but Julie's parts did not come off, oh, woe is me, like I was expecting. They were, I don't know, deep. Sitting in that tree was seriously philosophical for her. And the odd thing is, it all made sense to me. She talked about what it felt like to be up in that tree and how it like transcended dimensional space. To be held above the earth and brushed by the wind, she said. It's like your heart has been kissed by beauty. Who in junior high do you know that would put together a sentence like that? None of my friends, that's for sure. There was other stuff too, like how something can be so much more than the parts it took to make it, and why people need things around them that lift them above their lives and make them feel the miracle of living. I wound up reading and rereading her parts, wondering when in the world she started thinking like that. I mean, no kidding. Julie Baker is smart, but this was something way beyond straight A's. A month ago, if I had read this article, I would have chucked it in the trash as complete garbage. But for some reason, it made sense to me now. A lot of sense. A month ago, I wouldn't have paid any attention to the picture of Julie, but now I found myself staring at it. Not the one of the whole scene, that was more emergency rescue equipment than Julie. The other one, on the bottom half of the page. Someone must have used a killer telephoto lens because you can tell that she's in the tree, but it's mostly from the shoulders up. She's looking off into the distance, and the wind is blowing back her hair like she's at the helm of a ship or something sailing into the sun. I had spent so many years avoiding Julie Baker that I had never really looked at her. And now all of a sudden, I couldn't stop. This weird feeling started taking over the pit of my stomach, and I didn't like it. Not one bit. To tell you the truth, it scared the sheetrock out of me. I buried the paper under my pillow and tried to remind myself of what a pain Julie Baker was. But my mind started to wander again, and pretty soon I had that stupid paper out from under my pillow. This was insane. What was I doing? I made myself shut the light and go to bed. I was slipping, man, and it was definitely time to get a grip. I think our friend Bryce is a little bit flipped over a person by the name of Julie. Maybe Julie isn't such a pain after all. Next time, we're going to get Julie's perspective on the yard. See you later, guys. Thanks for tuning in.